Hi, it's Troy at the Full Setup here, back with another video for you today, and today we are doing an unboxing of another Ryzen motherboard. Now this is the third AM4 motherboard I've bought. Now the other two that I've bought would be 350s, but I've decided I need to start getting an X370 motherboards. This is actually going to go on a test bench that I've got coming later in the week, so I will show you a video on all of that as well. Now the motherboard I've gone for today is the Msi X370 Xpower Gaming Titanium. Now this motherboard is £300. It's the most expensive Ryzen motherboard you can buy. I did get it at a discounted price. I ended up paying I think about 230 for it. If not, the motherboard I was looking at was the Asus Crossfire, but still this should definitely be great for me for the channel over the next few years, so we can show you lots of different overclocking, hopefully get a bit better RAM support as well, because the B350 motherboards, although the BIOSes have been great, there's just a few things missing. I wanted better power control and stuff like that. So here is the outside of the case, the box, and you can see it's all in this nice silver. We've got a picture of the motherboard, we've got the Ryzen logo, AMD socket AM4 X370, and when you open it, look, ooh, you can see the board. Let's just not show you the board for a minute, but you can see the board. And there is also in here just general features about it. So we've got game boost, 8 levels of performance with the game boost button, DDR4 boost, VR boost, which is apparently gives you lower latency, optimized for gaming. We've got M.2 shield, although the M.2 shield we'll talk about a little bit later in the video. Gaming LAN, audio boost, we've got steel armor. There's Rgb lighting header as well for your Rgb fans, so there should be on a £300 motherboard, and then lightning USB. Moving around the box, as you can see, the motherboard continues. We've got the X370 Xpower Gaming Titanium. It's all in this nice silvery titanium finish. Handle at the top with not much on it. On the side here we just have the MSI Gaming Dragon logo, X370 Xpower Gaming Titanium, and then again X370 Ryzen. Moving on to the box as well, it's got pictures about where everything is and what it does, like all the numbers. Let me show you that. And then we have a hell of a lot of features, then just loads of stuff it comes with, and even more features, but we're going to go through that now. I know this video says unboxing and overview. By overview I just mean I'm going to show you the motherboard close. I may well come back with a BIOS overclocking video at a later date for you, but that's all I'm going to show you today. I hope you have to understand I haven't even powered this motherboard up yet. But as always, especially with the Ryzen motherboard videos, if you've got this motherboard, tell us which RAM you're using, tell us how fast you've got it, tell us how you're getting on with overclocking. There's been some really great comments on my Ryzen motherboard videos, which I'm really grateful for. It's been like almost like a nice bit of community, and everyone's helping each other out. Let's hide the motherboard again. So that is an accessory box, and in this accessory box there is loads of stuff. There should be loads of stuff. This was £300. So we have a little look. Is that going to fall forward on me? So we have it's going to do my head in. Let's put that like that. There we go. So we have, this is an Rgb fan header, but it's an extension, so it can split to 2 Rgb fans. I do remember from reading a review on this board when it first came out that the people weren't very happy that I only had that 1 Rgb fan header, but there is an extension to split it to 2, which I imagine you can probably run 2 1-meter RGB cables. Then we have two SATA cables that have got the 2 SATA cables. One's got an angle. 4, 6. So we've got 6 SATA cables. 2 are straight, 1 straight with an angle. SLI bridge. Now this is a high bandwidth SLI bridge for you know, the higher end GTX 1070s, 1080s, 1080 Ti's. Oh, I'd love the SLI 1080 Ti's. What about you? Then here we have the IO shield cover. Let's take this out of the packet so we can have a bit of a better look at it. Now all MSI IO shields, they've got this nice little sponginess thing going on, which I quite like. So you've even got loads of horrible metal, you know, when you've got to bend all the metal and get it into shape. No, not this, it just fits nice and snug. Let's have a little look then. So there is stuff for the clear CMOS, BIOS flashback, VR ready as well, just other bits and bobs. Tells you about everything that's on it. I'll put that on in a second when we get it out of the box. Driver disc. Now I would say this is very important, but because Ryzen motherboards are just getting updates like mad, probably don't use this disc, go over to the website, download the latest. I think there's already been 4 or 5 BIOSes out for this motherboard. Quick installation guide. Don't need that. We might need that just to find out where the power headers are. Then there's these for like putting around your cables, so you know which one's which, like boot disc and stuff like that. It's very nice, but I think it's just going to get in the way of cable management. Then we have a gaming G series sticker. It's nice if you want to put that on your case. I'm probably just going to put that on the girlfriend's car and she will go tits. Then there's all about the heat sinks, different ones that you'll have, how to install them. The manual. I normally do just throw these manuals away, but they are useful. It's good to know about the RAM slots. Like on most AMD motherboards, if you've got 2 RAM slots, you have to put them in number 2 and number 4, not number 1 and number 2. So it is good to have a little read. And then we just have a poster, which then has everything that's on the motherboard as well. So that's good for anyone that doesn't want to read the manual but just needs to quickly check out what something is. Oh, where am I going to put all this? Just put it in there. This isn't as bad as I bought an Asus X99 Deluxe once. You want to see how many accessories that's got in it. I think it comes with enough accessories to build about 50 PCs. Okay, let's have a look at the motherboard. So it's behind this nice plastic shield, the shielded MSI, and here it is in a lovely silver but sort of white look to it. It's off sort of grey, can you see that? And then we've got nice metal down here. So what I'm going to do is we're going to put this motherboard down. I need to have a look around it anyway to figure out what everything is, and then we're going to show you it closely. I'm just going to go around from the top down from the bottom, but then any questions about this please ask, and I will hopefully come back with a BIOS video at some point soon. I know I haven't done it with my MSI Arctic, I just haven't needed to because it's just, there's nothing really going on. You just set the voltage and it's done. Let's start by having a look around the rear I/O then. So what we have is 2 USB 2.0s, which you can use to hook up your mouse and keyboard, or also audio gear, because a lot of people tell me all the time that the audio gear seems to work better on USB 2.0. And then you have the older PS2 slot as well for plugging in mouses and keyboards, etc. And then there is a clear CMOS button. Always love to have a clear CMOS button on the back of the case. It's great for when you're just doing a few tweaks and you don't want to open it, especially on like a glass RGB case that I've got now. Now on this USB that's sticking up, now this is the USB flashback, so you can use that to flash back to a later BIOS. That's a really good feature. But again, all these features should be on a motherboard this price. Then we've got HDMI 2.0 and a display port. You're probably not going to use these because you only really need to use these with an APU, which I don't think you're ever going to be pairing an APU with a motherboard this expensive. Now here we have 4 USB 3.1 Gen 1, and then we have the gaming LAN, and now these here is the USB 3.1 Gen 2 and a Type A and a Type C. And then what we have to look here is 5.1 audio, 5.1 or 7.1 audio? 5.1 audio, and then we have an SP diff as well, digital output, which I'm definitely going to be using. So as I just said then, I'm going to take you in, we're going to have a look at half the motherboard at a time. So let's start with the top of the motherboard then. The first thing you're going to see is this huge I/O shield that's all in silver with the titanium writing, surrounded by these 2 massive heat sinks that are connected by a pipe here as well, so that's going to keep all your voltage regulation proper cool, like really nice and cool. And then there is a 8-pin plus a 4-pin power input. Now I wouldn't say that this is going to help you achieve a greater overclock with Ryzen, because as we know, Ryzen is very limited in overclocking potential, but it may come in useful a little bit down the line, maybe because they're going to keep the AM4 standard for a while as they release processors that can overclock a lot better, hopefully. Then maybe that 4-pin will come into use, but for now it just looks cool. There's also a 6 plus 4, there's 4 down under here as well, power phases. Now that is not as many power phases as other competing motherboards, and seeing this is the most expensive Ryzen motherboard, I expected to see this completely stacked out with power phases, but not all power phases are the same. From all the reviews I've seen, this motherboard overclocks just as good as any X370 motherboard, if not the same. Well, they're all about the same, aren't they? Again, here we have the AM4 bracket. Now with the this bracket, I have taken it off, and they haven't done like Asus and done the AM3 cutouts for older coolers. So for now, you're either going to have to get a bracket for your existing cooler, or you're going to have to buy an AM4 compatible cooler, or you can just clip on AM3 coolers. Then you can see the VR boost down here as well, and then we have one chassis fan connector. Moving on over to this side of the motherboard, we have another one. Now this is the CPU fan. There is also a pump fan and a system fan, and you can also see another fan here as well. So that is another system fan. So on the top of the motherboard we have 5 fan connections, all PWM. That's really good to see. Then we have the steel armor DDR4 slots. Now these are rated up to 3200 at the moment, but I'll find out if that runs. I am going to be pairing this with 16 gigs of 3200 DDR4. There's also the error code things at the top that can show you different errors and just how things are running on your motherboard. I really hope you can turn this off because I hate it when that light's glowing through my system. I quite often tape up stuff like that. I know, it's not right, is it? And then we have the 24-pin power, and we have one USB 3.0 header in. So that is the top of the motherboard. Looks very nice. I'll be honest, I don't think it looks like a £300 motherboard. So for the SATA connections as well, as you can guess from the amount of cables included, we've got 6 SATA ports. There's also a U.2 port. Haven't really seen many turbo U.2 drives yet. And then we have a side firing USB 3.0. And I really like the side firing USB 3.0s because you don't have to bend a horrible cable so much. Now that you've seen all the SATA connections, you can see this lovely X370 chipset, nice and huge, black and silver, keeping that chipset cool. And it's got LEDs that go around the corner. I also forgot to mention there's white LEDs on the DDR4, and I think there's white LEDs around the back as well. I think that's what MSI have done with this motherboard. Can't change it to RGB colours, but you can turn them off if you don't like them. Now here is the overclocking dial, so you can turn this. There's 11 different stages you can turn it to. You just press the button to turn it on. Now I won't be using that, I'll be doing all my own standard overclocks, but a nice little feature to have. There's also a reset and power switch, which is also great to have as well, before you, especially because I'm going to be using it on a test bench. I don't need to have a switch wired out. Then there's a USB 3.1 header. We have some other headers as well here. These are just general system connections. That's where you're going to pick up all your power switches and stuff. 2 USB 2.0 headers. We have the RGB header, another fan connector, so that takes up to 6 PWM fan connectors. And then you can see there's a 6-pin power to power into the motherboard if your graphics cards are drawing a little bit too much on the PCI, especially when you're running multiple graphics cards. And then we just have the audio header as well for the front header, and you can see we've got the Audio Boost logo as well for the built-in audio. And again, the IO shield is carrying on down here. So what about PCI slots then? Well, we have 3 PCI 3.0s, I think they're by 1 mode. Then we have 2 PCI 3.0s by 16, so they're times 16, and that's a USB 2.0 times 16. And then also you're going to see we have 2 M.2s. Now this M.2 here is running at PCI 3.0 by 4 mode, and the one underneath is running at PCI 2.0 by 4 mode. That one's going at 32 gigabytes per second, that one's going at about 20 gigabytes per second, but that's still massive amount of bandwidth. And then what you can see here is there is the M.2 shield. Now there's been very mixed reviews on the M.2 shields. Everyone says that they can actually cause M.2s to throttle even more, but really, my personal opinion, unless you bought a really nice high-end Samsung looking M.2 drive and you've just got a horrible green one and you built all this beautiful system, having a cover was something that I always wanted, so I'm quite happy to see that there. Now I am sorry this hasn't been a full, taking you in and having a look at the BIOS, and it's just a show around the board. But as I said, I just like to make these videos for everyone that comments afterwards, and we can all just sort of share how we're getting on with it. So if you have this motherboard and you've run into a problem, let us know. If you have this motherboard and you're absolutely loving it, let us know how you're running it, what Ryzen processor you've got, how you're getting on with RAM speeds, the latest BIOS, all that stuff. Really appreciate it, and I'll be back with another video very soon.